Problem number 6. Say solve, or example number 6. Say solve the trigonometric equation tan x sine square x equals 3 tan x. 3 tan x given x from 0 more than or equal 0 less than 2 pi. We have here trigonometric equation. Each side contains trigonometric ratio, trigonometric function. So we can combine them all in one side. So I'm gonna write here tan x sine square x minus 3 tan x equals 0. We can take tan x common. So I'm gonna leave here sine square x minus 3 equals 0. Either tan x equals 0 or sine square x minus 3 equals 0. For this one, tan x equals 0. Tan it means sine over cosine. Tan x equals 0 like sine x equals 0. So the second coordinate 0. Here the angle. The point here 1 and 0. The point here negative 1 and 0. So this is 0. This is pi. So x here equals 0 and pi. If you try to get tan 0 or tan 180, you are gonna get 0. Tan 0 equals 0 and tan 180 equals 0. So tan x equals 0, x equals 0 or pi. What about sine square? In sine square, the second one, sine square x minus 3 equals 0. So sine square x equals 3. So sine x equals root 3, positive or negative. And I'm gonna write here refused. I'm gonna write here refused. Why refused? Why sine x equal positive negative 3 refused or rejected? Why? Because I said before that the interval for sine, the range for sine is or cosine is from negative 1 up to 1. Root 3 is more than 1 and negative root 3 is less than negative 1. So this is refused, rejected. So the solution here is 0 and pi. This is the solution. On your own, solve the equation. Sine x tan x equals sine x. Sine x tan x equals sine x. Given x is more than or equal 0, less than 2 pi. Problem number 7. It says solve 2 cosine square x plus 3 sine x plus 3 sine x equal 0. X more than or equal 0, less than 2 pi. In order to solve this trigonometric equation, we have to write it all in terms of cosine or in terms of sine. We have to write this equation in terms of cosine or in terms of sine. I think it's a little bit hard to convert sine to be cosine. But it's easy to convert cosine square to be sine square. Why? Because we have formula, we have identity. It says cosine square x plus sine square x equals 1. If you want to replace cosine square with another expression in terms of sine square, just switch sine square to the right side. So it becomes 1 minus sine square. So I'm gonna write here 2 and replace cosine square to be 1 minus sine square x plus 3 sine x equals 0. Now we expand here and simplify the expression. So 2 multiplied by 1, 2 minus 2 sine square minus 2 sine square x plus 3 sine x equals 0. You can multiply by negative 1, multiply by negative just to make sine square positive and rearrange. So we can write here negative 2 sine square x plus 3 sine x plus 2 equals 0. Now multiply by negative. So 2 sine square x minus 3 sine x minus 2 equals 0. And we can just replace as we did before in problem number 4. Like problem number 4. So we can replace sine x to be y. So I'm gonna write here 2y squared minus 3y minus 2 equals 0. By factoring, we are gonna get 2y and y. We need negative 4. So we have here negative 2. We have here positive 1. So 2y plus 1. 2 times negative 2, negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1, negative 3. And okay, now it's correct. If you want to make sure, just put it on the calculator. Modify 3. 2, negative 3, negative 2. We are gonna get 2, which is y minus 2. And negative half, it means positive half. Now, take each one and solve it for y. 2y plus 1 equals 0. 2y equals negative 1. Y equals negative half. And for this one, y minus 2 equals 0. Y equals 2. Now, again, do substitution for y equals sine x. So sine x here equals 2. I'm going to say here rejected, refused. Why? Because it's more than 1. What about the second part? Y equals negative half. So I can write here sine x equals negative half. Now sine is negative. So this x belongs to one of two quadrants. Third quadrant or fourth quadrant. Third quadrant or fourth quadrant. To get the reference angle, shift sine half. It becomes 30. So the angle here will be 180 plus 30. The angle here, which is 210. The angle here is 360 minus 30, which is 330. So it's 11 by 330. This one 11 by over 6. And this one 210 equals 7 by over 6. So the solution for this equation will be 7 by over 6 and 11 by over 6. So the solution is 7 by over 6 and 11 by over 6. Now on your own, solve the equation. 2 sine square x minus 3 cosine x minus 3 cosine x equals 0, given x more than or equal 0 less than 2 pi. Solve 2 sine square x minus 3 cosine x equals 0.